Hi, welcome to techydiy. I'm Nigel and today I'm going to make an acrylic edge lit lamp using LEDs to light the sides. The lamp consists of two cutouts that slot together and then into a wooden base which also has a glowing acrylic layer. So let's have a look at some of the parts. First of all, a 6mm or 1/4 inch thick clear acrylic sheet, some square planed wood, 5 blue LEDs and 4 white LEDs, 3 220 ohm resistors, some wire, a DC power connector, and to cut the acrylic sheet I fitted a jigsaw with a Bosch T101A blade, which is designed for cutting polycarbonate and acrylic. For links to the plans, parts and tools, have a look in the video description, or you can go directly to the techydiy website. The design was created using Google SketchUp along with 2 templates which were printed out and glued to the acrylic sheet as a cutting guide. I used a water-soluble glue so that the templates could be easily washed off afterwards. And once the glue had dried, I cut along the lines with a sharp knife which marked the design directly into the acrylic. The first section to be cut was the slot, and to start that I drilled a hole at the mark point on the template using first a centre punch and then a step drill to take the finished hole size up to 6mm or 1/4 inch. I then used the jigsaw to cut along the lines of the template using length of wood as a guide. The trick when you're cutting acrylic is to cut very slowly in short sections and avoid heating up the material. When you edge light acrylic, it highlights any scratches or imperfections, and as I'd used an old sheet, I needed to polish it. And so to do that, I ran a blowtorch along the bottom edges to flame polish them, but I left the sides unpolished as this was necessary for edge lighting. I then sanded the faces with wet and dry sandpaper, using a little water to create a paste, starting with 240 grit and then moving all the way up to 3000 grit. To finish, I used plastic polish and a cotton polishing mop. Next, I cut 2 square blocks of wood for the base. I mark the centre on one of the blocks, and then set up the router table fence so that the bit was centrally positioned in line with the centre mark. I also clamped a length of wood onto the table to act as a guide, and I routed the top face of the block, cutting across its full width before turning it 90 degrees to cut again. The router bit that I used is 6mm or 1/4 inch straight bit, which is the same size as the acrylic sheet. For the bottom face of the block, I didn't want to route all the way across, so I set up stop blocks. To accommodate the power cable, I removed the stop blocks and routed a channel through to one edge. And I finished off the top edge with a round over bit. Next I drilled the holes for the LEDs, which are 5mm in diameter. I used a new 5mm brad point drill bit, which made it very easy to locate and cut clean holes. For the base centre layer, I cut a square of acrylic using the same dimensions as the wooden layers. And this piece will be lit by an LED, so I drilled an 8mm hole in the centre to accommodate it using a step drill. To secure the three pieces together, I drilled countersunk holes into the corners and screwed them together. I sanded the sides flat and applied some clear varnish. The next job was to solder the LEDs together. There are 4 white and 4 blue LEDs pointing upwards which light up the tree, and another blue LED pointing down which lights up the base. The circuit diagram looks like this, with 3 sets of 3 LEDs in series with a 220 ohm resistor. All of the information about how this is wired, along with a step-by-step guide, can be found on the techydiy website. To make the assembly easier, I drilled a template into some scrap wood, following the same pattern as the base. Once the LEDs were soldered, I installed them into the base, hot glued the power lead in place, and then screwed the base together. Slotted the acrylic cutouts together and installed it into the base. So let's check it out. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.